Hey everybody, welcome to Bible class. I would love it if you would open a Bible with me to Hebrews chapter 5 in the New Testament. We are exploring what is worship. We'll be in Hebrews 5 in just a moment, but could I remind you where we've been? We've used Hebrews chapter 12, verse 28 as a kind of key passage for this entire little series. Therefore, let us offer to God. Number one, God is the only one worthy of our worship, but God has described for us what is acceptable. We can't just worship God in whatever way we want to worship. He alone is worthy. He has told us how to worship Him with reverence and awe. In our last study, we looked at this phrase, let us offer. We talked about how in the Bible there is this long legacy of sacrifices to God, animal sacrifices, right? But even though there is a difference between worship in the Old Testament and worship for us today, we still offer sacrifices, right? Today, I want to zero in on that one word, us. Let us offer to God acceptable worship with reverence and awe. But how can you and I answer that call, especially with the big difference between worship now and worship way back then? Throughout the Old Testament, we read about God's people being led and served by priests, starting with the brother of Moses. His name was Aaron, right? We can see his name in Exodus chapter 28 and verse 1, where God said, "Bring near to you Aaron, your brother, and his sons with him from among the people of Israel to serve me as priests." Beyond Aaron and his family, there was an entire tribe, the tribe of Levi. God said in Numbers 3, "Bring the tribe of Levi near and set them before Aaron the priest, that they may minister to him. They shall keep guard over him and over the whole congregation before the tent of meeting as they minister at the tabernacle." We've got priests drawn from the whole tribe of Levi, and at the head of all of them was the high priest. All of the priests led by one priest known as the high priest. Is your Bible open there to Hebrews chapter 5? Let's start reading in verse 1. Where we're told every high priest chosen from among men is appointed to act on behalf of men in relation to God, to offer gifts and sacrifices for sins. He, this high priest, can deal gently with the ignorant and wayward, since he himself is beset with weakness. Because of this, he is obligated to offer sacrifice for his own sins, just as he does for those of the people. And no one takes this honor for himself, but only when called by God, just as the first one, Aaron, was, right? What would these priests do? Listen again carefully to Hebrews 5, verse 1. Priests acted on behalf of men in relation to God. Priests stood between God and the people, and priests would offer. That was their work. They would offer gifts and sacrifices for sin. When the priests would do that, they would wear holy garments, not just anything they wanted to wear. Remember, they were worshiping God and expected to offer acceptable worship to God. And so God told these priests exactly what to wear: a coat of fine linen, and then over that a blue robe, and over that what was called an ephod bound with a sash, and then over it all a breastpiece of judgment, and then on the high priest's head a turban of fine linen, a plate of gold, a kind of holy crown, and engraved on that crown it read, "Holy to the Lord." But if your Bible is still open there to Hebrews, turn a page later. Hebrews chapter 7, verse 23, there had to be many, many priests year after year after year, because Hebrews 7:23, they were prevented by death from continuing in office. Priests would live, priests would die, and then someone else would have to take over until something really important happened. Let's read about it in Hebrews 7, verse 22. This makes Jesus the guarantor of a better covenant. Those former priests were many in number because they were prevented by death from continuing in office, but Jesus holds his priesthood permanently. How? He continues forever. Therefore, he is able to save to the uttermost those who draw near to God through him. What's the work of a priest? To stand between God and the people. Who is the perfect priest today? Is Jesus, since he always lives to make intercession for them. It was indeed fitting that we should have such a holy high priest. He's holy, he's innocent, he's unstained, he's separated from sinners, he's exalted above the heavens. He has no need, like those high priests, to offer sacrifices daily, first for his own sins, and then for those of the people. He didn't commit any sins, and he has offered the once for all sacrifice needed by offering up himself. The law appoints men in their weakness as high priests. They were sinful human beings, and they would live and then they would die. But when God gave us his Son, everything that is needed has been accomplished. Does that mean there are no priests today? No. Listen to 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. If you're a Christian, you are a part of this chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. That's how we started. That's how we answer the call. Through Christ, let us, who are the priests today, disciples of Jesus, here is the call. Let us continually offer up a sacrifice, not of animals, but of praise to God. That is the fruit of lips that acknowledge his name. We're exploring what is worship. There's a big difference between worship then and now, but there are still sacrifices and there are still priests. We need to learn more, don't we? So let's dig in together. Thanks so much for being in class. Hope I set you up for great discussion, and you have a great rest of this week.